The fall of Marlaska's #2 police official after a criminal complaint for sexual assault. Let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome to a new edition of Precautionary Measures. Pay attention to what has happened in the last few hours because it is extremely serious. A criminal complaint has been accepted for review against the now resigned official, Deputy Operational Director of the Police. Just so you know, this title, known as the DAO, the Deputy Operational Director of the Police, is the highest ranking uniformed representative of the police. And then above him, there's only the Director General of the Police, which is an entirely political post, right? So to speak. Well, the DAO has had to resign, the #2 of Marlaska's police, because a criminal complaint for sexual assault, among other offenses, has been accepted against the DAO himself. Look at the state of things in Spain. It's not just that corruption is closing in on us, it's that institutions like the police also end up being tainted by Pedro Sánchez's government, by Sanchismo, by Marlaska's trusted men. It's shocking, and pay close attention because we have the criminal complaint. It's horrifying, extremely serious what's described in this criminal complaint, which, as I said, has been accepted for review by a court. And this means that a procedure has already begun, and that therefore Marlaska's now resigned DAO is now under investigation, already being officially investigated for these crimes. Let's share the complaint on the screen. I'm going to tell you the most important parts of what this complaint says, so don't miss it. And as always, just a reminder that if you haven't done so already, you need to subscribe to the Medidas Cautelares channel. And let's put this complaint on the screen now, which we learned about in the last few hours, and as I said, has already led to the downfall of the Deputy Director, the Police's Deputy Operational Director, DAO José Ángel González. And let's go to the most notable parts because it's 20 pages and of course we won't go into the most lurid details, and there are some because honestly the complaint is horrifying. So let's highlight some paragraphs that I consider very important. The complainant, the victim, a career officer of the National Police, had in the past for a certain period of time a romantic relationship with the accused, José Ángel González, who is the Deputy Director, or now resigned Deputy Operational Director of the Police DAO. Pay attention to the statement of facts. April 23, 2025, while the victim was on regular active duty during the afternoon shift at the local police station in Coslada, in Madrid, starting at 2:15, he received multiple phone calls from the accused, José Ángel González, urgently requesting his immediate presence. The request was urgent, and despite the victim's initial and repeated refusals, who cited obvious work-related reasons, he was on active duty at that time, working as a police officer. The accused, explicitly using his institutional authority, urged and instructed him to leave his workplace, using an unmarked police vehicle from the Coslada police station with the purpose of meeting with him urgently, subsequently and blatantly abusing the public resources assigned to his office. The accused ordered that the victim be transported in an official vehicle from the aforementioned Coslada police station, driven by the complainant, to a restaurant where he was having lunch with Commissioner Oscar San Juan. At around 4:30 in the afternoon, the victim joined the table of the accused and Commissioner Oscar San Juan, where both were already having a drink. At the end of the meal, the accused tells Commissioner Oscar that he is leaving with his driver, and he orders the victim to take him to his official residence in the aforementioned unmarked official vehicle and takes him to Alberto Alcocer Street, a publicly owned residence assigned to the position of Deputy Operational Director of the General Directorate of Police. That is, he takes him to the residence held by the Deputy Operational Director, which is obviously assigned to the Ministry of the Interior, a publicly owned residence. This is extremely serious because it is where the alleged criminal acts took place, the sexual assault. Once, the official vehicle stopped in front of the building for an estimated period of 15 to 20 minutes. The accused, inside the unmarked official vehicle, suggested to the victim that they go up to the apartment, but she verbally, explicitly, and repeatedly refused. to go up to the accused's residence, expressing her discomfort with the situation and her clear desire to leave and return to her post. The accused exerted intense psychological pressure during this time, insisting in an obsessive and manipulative way until he managed to break the victim's will. They said they only wanted to talk and couldn't do it in the vehicle because someone like the doorman or neighbors might see them. The victim finally agreed to go up to the apartment under the explicit pretext and promise from the accused that they were only going to talk about the two of us. So the victim proceeded to park the vehicle and then went up to the apartment. Once inside the official residence, located on Alberto Alcocer Street and specifically in the kitchen, the accused served 2 glasses of beer and immediately began a physical approach of a sexual nature toward the victim, an approach that was verbally, expressly, firmly, and continuously rejected by the victim at all times. From that moment on, and despite the complainant's unequivocal, clear, and persistent refusals, the accused engaged in aggressive behavior of a sexual nature, characterized, it is said, by physical violence and an intimidating environment, taking advantage of the situation of isolation, physical superiority, and institutional authority he held over the victim. The reported events, which are supported by the submitted audio recording, consist of the accused stating inside the residence that the victim cannot leave the residence, as well as the insistence on engaging in sexual acts that the victim explicitly rejects at all times. We are going to omit the graphic details. She immediately says that after being sexually assaulted, she, a police officer, manages to break free from the accused and is able to leave the accused's residence. The victim picked up the unmarked police vehicle she had used to get to the location. She went to the local Coslada police station where she worked, left the vehicle, and then went to her own home. Once at home, she suffered a severe anxiety attack, characterized by uncontrollable crying, trembling, hyperventilation, a sense of unreality, and emotional numbness. Immediate reactive symptoms consistent with the experience of a traumatic sexual assault. And pay attention, after this description of the events, there's a paragraph that I think is especially important to highlight. It says the accused used his direct subordinate and advisor, Commissioner Oscar San Juan, commissioner and advisor of the DAO, to put pressure on the victim by offering job placements of their choice in exchange for her silence, constituting an attempt to buy the victim's silence through professional favors derived from the institutional power of the accused. During the commission of the sexual assault, the accused explicitly invoked his position with expressions such as, "Hey, I'm the DAO," creating an atmosphere of intimidation in addition to the physical violence used, reminding the victim of her institutional subordination even at the moment of the assault. Okay? Well, this is the complaint. It's serious. I've already told you that we've left out the gruesome details. Okay? We'll leave that for other channels, other media outlets, those who are more interested in sensationalism. But here, what is being reported is a sexual assault. And I think there's a key issue. And the key point is that this alleged victim, before entering the building assigned to the DAO, which is publicly owned, started recording with her phone. She started recording with her phone. And this means that everything is recorded, and obviously that recording has been submitted. It has been submitted to the court, and also that court has accepted the complaint for consideration. And so that recording in which supposedly, well, it is captured, or rather you can hear it. The alleged sexual assault will have to be evaluated by the court. So this story is really something. The DAO, after this complaint and its admission for consideration became known, because of course it's one thing for someone to file a complaint against you, but it's another thing when the judge actually starts investigating. Here, the judge has started investigating. And that's why there was no other choice but for the DAO to submit his resignation from the position. And we have to remember that this DAO, Ángel González, known as Jota, was someone the Minister of the Interior trusted completely. Pay attention, someone he trusted completely, Fernando Grande Marlaska. He appointed him in 2018. He had been in the position for 8 years. And also due to the DANA, the government slipped in a legal modification so that this man, this police chief, could remain at the head of the Deputy Operational Directorate of the police until he decided to retire. They removed his retirement date. Therefore, the Ministry of the Interior under Fernando Grande Marlaska is directly responsible for what has happened. Of course, Marlaska still hasn't resigned. We'll see if he resigns later. That's all for this edition of Medidas Cautelares. I hope you liked it, that everything was clear. The complaint, the alleged criminal acts of this sexual assault, these acts of coercion, and so on. Leave me your comments. What do you think? Honestly, it's some shocking information. I'd like to know your opinions about it. You already know that you can become members like the chosen ones for less than 3 euros a month, or like the supreme ones for less than 7 euros a month. You can also make your contributions via Bizum at 627-556-370, 70,627,556 to support this community, this great channel that all of you and I make possible. Of course, I also want to remind you about the email. Any information, as you know, is always welcome at the email address medidascautelaresmap@gmail.com. The most important thing, as I always tell you, is that this information reaches everyone because information is power. See you soon.